You're listening to Opera Box Score.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Wherever you are, however you're listening, it's America's talk radio show about opera. It's Opera Box Score. I'm Weston Williams, joined by Oliver Camacho, Matt Cummings, and Ashley Hardgrave. A full house! All right, this week, Jacquelyn Stucker goes inside the huddle. The American soprano joins us live from Santa Fe Opera, where she is set to make her role debut as the Governess in The Turn of the Screw. Will the Governess overcome her biggest fear? Having to withstand being questioned by Oliver Camacho? Stay tuned to find out. And then, a message in the listener mailbag gets us thinking about what we should call our OBS fans, i.e. you guys. Plus, in the 2-minute drill, opera singers are being force-fed Ozempic like a gavage on a goose, and no shirt, no shoes, no Scala. La Scala, that is. Make sure you subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, click follow on Apple Podcasts, hit the plus sign. Email us your hot takes by writing to mailbag@operaboxscore.com or upload a voice memo using the You Got Something to Say tab on our website, operaboxscore.com. However you contribute, you'll get an OBS beer coaster, an OBS lapel pin, and a #1 OBS fan foam finger just for sharing your own hot take. And without further ado, Oliver Camacho, something about tennis probably?
We're recording on Tuesday as opposed to Monday, so those of you who are watching Wimbledon like I am, you know about the heartbreak of yesterday. Poor Grigor Dimitrov, 34 years old, about to take down the world #1 Jannik Sinner. He was up 2-0, and he pulled his pec muscle right on the court, just sat right down on the court. Everybody came rushing over to him. It was devastating. And there's some opera parallel here. I don't know what it is yet, but when Dimitrov was younger, he was always thought of as like the most handsome guy in the tour, and he had mad skills, but he never quite made it as far as we thought his potential had. And now in the latter stages of his career, he has so much game, but his body keeps betraying him.
That's the plot of Champion.
Yeah. I think I know how to sing now. But like I get like a little tickle in my throat, and then suddenly I, can't even phonate. So I have to sit down on the opera stage,
Matt Cummings, what sports movie is your life based on?
Is there a movie crying when you remember that there isn't an Olympics every 3 out of 4 years? Because that's me this summer. I was having like residual excitement about how great it was to have the Olympics last year, and then I remembered it's not even just 3 years like it was in 2024.
Yeah, we're a little spoiled.
We have a whole other Olympiad to wait out.
Don't we have some winterish stuff coming up?
Yeah, that's fine, but like there are no gymnasts.
I mean, if Simone Biles isn't in it, I don't want to see it. Ashley Hardgrave, what have you been up to this past week?
Well, listeners, readers, we are recording on a Tuesday because my sweet, sweet OBS brothers decided to move it from Monday. I was disposed on Monday because I was at the Wu-Tang Clan concert here in Chicago at the United Center. I am changed, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between. Here's the thing. I know this is an opera show, but like we talk about some greater cultural musical things at large. And this experience, I saw Alice Coote sing Sesto at the Metropolitan Opera in 2007. I saw Bobby Orth sing Nixon and Nixon in China. I saw Sam Raimi sing Bluebeard. But I say with confidence that seeing a double bill of Run the Jewels and all of the surviving members of the Wu-Tang Clan together on one stage, easily one of the top 5 concert experiences I have ever had. The young 90s girl who probably shouldn't have loved rap but did. The progressive woman that has seen how their views on women have changed and how they spoke out about regulation and legislation against women in their concert last night in Chicago. And I got to hear them do Protect Your Neck and Bring the Motherfucking Ruckus all at once. I am in such a great mood, I say, as I drink out of my Wu-Tang Clan koozie.
What I'm hearing from you, Ashley, is that because you knew Wu, you have been changed for good.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is my last episode of this podcast because I am firing myself after hearing Matt Cummings say that.
Oliver, grab Ashley so she can't escape, and let's talk some opera.
Huddle up. Let's go inside the huddle.
Jacquelyn Stucker is a name I first encountered in my other job, preparing a script for a very bizarre opera that they performed at Aix-en-Provence last summer. Rameau's Samson, an opera which was lost, and I forget what survives. Maybe some libretto survives or some music survives. I forget what, but it was fragments. And my husband, Raphael Pichon, reconstructed it with the help of Klaus Gut, and it was a huge success.
He did a good job.
It was Goot.
The production starred Jarrett Ott as Samson, Léa Desandré as Samson's first wife, some other people. Lawrence Kilsby was in the cast, who I adore, and our guest, Jacquelyn Stucker, as Dalila. And then I was reminded that it was Jacquelyn Stucker's second season at X, because the previous season she starred as Popea in Coronation Popea, with friend of the show Maya Kirani as Drusilla. Since then, Jacquelyn has made her debut at the Metropolitan Opera, singing the Contessa in The Marriage of Figaro, and will be coming to Chicago next season to sing Fiordiligi in Così fan tutte. I'm very excited about that. When I asked Jacquelyn what clip we should hear to introduce her voice to the audience, she suggested the Ragu aria from The Exterminating Angel.
Love that. Phenomenal.
One for Weston.
Exactly.
Literally one for me.
She wanted something in English because she will be making a role debut, the Governess in Turn of the Screw, in just a few days. So without further ado, here is the Ragu aria. Live from Santa Fe Opera, we are joined by Jacquelyn Stucker. Welcome to Opera Box Score.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited to talk to you. And the audience knows that I am crazy for Raphael Pichon. If Sabine Ziviel was out of the picture, I would be right there up in his face all the
There
time.
you go.
But, I'm looking at what they're doing this year. They're like staging the Goretzky Stabat Mater, and they're staging like a Martineau, like Requiem or something. It's all bat poop crazy stuff that looks so gorgeous. And I first heard your singing as Dalila in the bizarro Rameau Samson that doesn't exist. We have a libretto. We have nothing. We have the idea of an opera. And Raphael Pichon says, okay, well, I'll take this text and I'll take these arias from this opera and we're going to smash together and call it a world premiere. And you got to be Dalila.
I did.
Can we talk about that? Tell us all about it.
It was wild. I'd never done French Baroque before, and I couldn't imagine any better team to do it with other than Raphael and Pygmalion in X. It was very intimidating, but I have worked a lot with Jarrett Ott. He was my first ever stage kiss. Yes. Also, he is my work husband. And he was my first stage kiss. We actually first met here at the Santa Fe Opera. We were both covering in Cold Mountain, the two Ada and Inman love interest characters. And so we've played love interests in 3 other operas, including Samson. And it made me more comfortable. I was one of the only Anglophones, native Anglophones. And my French is good, but it's obviously not, poetic French native level sort of thing. But the role was challenging because it was about the story of Samson from the Book of Judges, not the story of Samson et Dalila, like we see in the Samson. So my role was just limited to Act 4, and I had about 35 minutes to meet him, seduce him, and get him caught by the Philistines, and then kill myself. So it was a jam-packed role, dramaturgically challenging and very intense, but I really ended up enjoying it, even though I felt like a fish out of water at first. And I think my style of working is very physically intense, and I like stunt work. I like really investing in scenes, maybe too much, probably.
Yeah, you're very physical when you sing.
Yeah, and I think it had to be because you can't just stand there in a scene like that and be intense. It needs to have, when appropriate, like almost violent physicality because they're fighting. And, all of this is sort of within the safety of a rehearsal process where there's structure and consent and all of that. But seduction takes many forms. And so you got to have all the tools at your disposal to manage it. And it was tough. But I do think that in the end, I came out with a character that I was very pleased with. And it was really cool being part of the project because I think X is a festival that celebrates French opera. And this, like Rameau, right? It's sort of like, I don't even know, like Samuel Barber, but on steroids. Like, I don't know what to compare it to in American music, but like quintessential, like Charles Ives. Like, it's really like, This is French music.
Yeah.
And so it was really cool to be a part of that. And I learned a lot. So that was really cool.
I think
Klaus was amazing. Oh, I loved working with Klaus. Loved it.
I think the word they use is franchoyade. When something is so French, it's like, it's too French,
This was maybe approaching that in a good way.
It's like Amélie, the opera,
Yes, indeed. I love it.
Actually, you could play Amélie in Amélie the opera, Yeah, with your bob. Yeah. Do you think, and I don't want to get in your head because you obviously did it and you were amazing, but do you think that the X audience was ready for an American to be singing Rameau?
I think the French press wasn't super into it. And when I say I think, I know that. But I think everywhere else I made an impression. And I think it's so subjective because I start to get really upset when people say audiences want this and audiences want this. There are as many reasons why people come to see opera as there are people in the audience. And I think people that really appreciate cohesive storytelling, who appreciate believable acting, if you appreciate perfect French, I'm really sorry, but I'm trying. Like, I'm doing my best and I learned a lot. But I think if people wanted theater and a story and nice singing, I definitely fit the bill. And like, I'm really okay with being, I tend to be a little polarizing when it comes to reviews, which I've stopped reading. But I'm kind of okay with that. I think the best pieces of art inspire, like they provoke people. And so even if you didn't like it, I still got under your skin, didn't I? Like, you're still thinking about it. You're still thinking about it. So thank you.
Do you feel like having succeeded as Popea for that same audience gave you a little bit of like, okay, at least she's got some, 17th century cred. Let's see if she can do 18th century French.
Yeah, I mean, I've never done anything like Rameau because the orchestra was way bigger than I thought. I was like, oh yeah, Baroque band. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. It was massive.
Yeah, oboes and flutes and like.
I was like, you have got to be kidding me. And then it would be these full forces. And then I sang Viens Man. I was like, there are like 2 instruments playing right now. And I literally could not be more alone. I'm so alone. So it really went from like one extreme to the other in terms of orchestration and the different affects required. And I think that's I think Raphael's thumbprint, his like musical DNA is in that work as much as Klaus's, because to pick in a very historically informed way, because, Rameau recycled a lot of this stuff, from what I understand, into other operas. To put that together dramaturgically, Raphael was a huge part of how I had to make that character with the rest of the team. But it was totally different from Popea. Popeye was also with Leonardo Garcia Alarcon. I'm his number one fan. I'm the president of his fan club.
I'm sorry. Wait a second. This is America. There's no female presidents. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. What is it? We're in the middle of a house now. Yeah. But I loved working with Leo, and Leo, in the same way that Raphael does, they're very similar in this way. They like to see how far things can go, and then we'll rein it back. But they do like to really push singers in a constructive way to say, like, what can this scene hold? How much tension can we put in the scene? And then we figure out like the balance that's right for the singing and the acting and all this stuff. But I really like that because in both experiences I grew. And if I'm not growing on a project, I'm the worst person in the world when I'm bored. I am not great. I'm the worst version of myself because I don't like being bored. But I think with Popeye, I did establish myself and X as like a very intense stage presence because the role of Popeye, you can wake me up in the middle of the night and I can sing it well. It's so easy to sing.
Yeah.
But Dalila, I'm gonna need like 45 minutes by myself to like pray and warm up and do all these different things. Totally different animals, but I think on the stage and as characters, they were really, really similar if I think about how I built them.
Well, you've been throwing some names around. Klaus Goot is the Klaus you're talking about, right? It's okay.
I love him.
No, it's okay. And Leonardo.
He's Klaus. He's like Cher. He's like Madonna. Everyone knows who Klaus is. Yeah, Klaus Goot, exactly.
I'm going to throw a name around because I love this girl so much, Maya Kirani, who was your Drusilla, one of the most beautiful singers I've seen in my life. And a good friend of the show. We had to move on, but I want to talk more about Raphael offline with you. Just
absolutely, let's do it.
Help me.
We got to get the fan club together. Can I be vice president?
yes, for sure.
President of Vice.
You're coming to Chicago in the upcoming season to make your lyric opera debut as Fiordiligi. Anthony Leon, who we just interviewed last week, is going to be your Ferrando. I'm the president of that fan club. Ana Maria Martinez, who sings like a goddess in Mozart, is singing to Spina, which is so bizarre. But I understand why that's going to work. I don't know your Dorabella, but,
she's amazing. She's amazing. I'm doing Ariodante with her in Paris, in the fall. She's amazing. Great singer.
Okay.
She's at Glamborn right now doing Rosina. She's amazing.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, your Mozart roles, you sang the Countess at the Met. Mm-hmm. Can you tell me about waiting 40 minutes to make your entrance and then having to sing one of the hardest phrases of any entrance ever?
I think Porgy Moore is really easy, and I think I'm in the minority on that. For me, it's the easiest part of the role. So I was always like, and I was at the Met. I'm no one can see me right now except for you, but I'm sitting on like a very comfortable chair. I was literally in a bed. It was my dream. And I just sang Porgy Moore, mostly lying down. It was great.
Oh, it was the Downton Abbey set, right?
It was the
Richard Eyre set,
1930s Spanish Revolution. Yeah. Okay. It was, I don't know Downton Abbey at all. So I probably just like, I just told on myself. But yeah, I think it's a perfect production for this show. I think I just think it was perfect. And I mean, to enter the action 40 minutes in is right for that character. I mean, this is the Countess's no good, awful, very bad day. That's the alternate title of this show, like the tertiary title. And I think to sort of come out of a dream and to be like shook into reality that's like her worst nightmare, probably what she was having a nightmare about that night prior, is exactly right. Exactly right.
Do you have another Countess on the books right now coming
I don't. No, okay. I also jumped in for opening night here. Didn't expect that Countess. So I don't know. Maybe the universe will surprise me. But
who was supposed to be singing the Countess?
Marina Monceau. But I just jumped in. I just jumped in. It was one night only. Jacquelyn Stucker, one night only. So it was great. I didn't expect it, and it was the Laurent Pelly production, which I learned the staging in like 4 hours. So it wasn't the ideal way of building a Countess, but I liked his production because she was very like active and young, and the Countess I made with the team at the Met. I keep saying I made this character, but like I did make, it's my job. My job is to make characters and tell stories. Yeah. was very like, she was living her Carmela Soprano fantasy, like trapped, upset, but like, I kind of like all this wealth, don't I? You know what I mean? It was very, very different characters and very different affects, but I really liked it. But no more countesses that I'm aware of, at least.
Oh, I want to say that one of my favorite phrases in all of Marriage Figaro, I mean, the Countess is the best music, actually, but there's a little 3 words you get to sing after Figaro leaves in Act 2, after he tells you the plan, and you're alone with Susanna again, and you say, "Tu non sai," and then the continuer goes, "da, da, da, da," you know, for whatever reason, that can just rip my heart open, that little bit right there.
Yeah, Susanna doesn't know she's in a happy relationship.
Yeah. Do you have any phrases in Fiordiligi that you're really looking forward to putting your own take on? Like, if I was singing Fiordiligi in the Dove Son quartet, there's the that is such a gorgeous thing. It's like a throwaway thing that Mozart put in there, but to me, it's the point in the opera where Fiordiligi is beginning to be convinced. That is the musical expression of that, you know?
Yeah. It's a good question. I think when I think of the word phrase, I think of the words. And I love the aria Per Pietà.
So do I.
I love it. And I think there's so many times in my life where I feel really disappointed in myself. Like I wasn't a good friend, or I really let someone important to me down. And it's so rewarding to sing an aria where you're just like, I cannot believe I'm like this. I cannot believe this is the person that I am. And it's like to really say that and to mean it, and musically with the horns, it all makes sense. Like everything is hard about that aria because it's hard to admit that you are failing at what you're trying to do. Like you are in the act of failing. Now, I guess you haven't failed yet, but you're just like, is this really, really me? Am I really this horrible? And I think that that's so special. Like Mozart really understood the intellectual part of having emotions, but also the very human, emotional, like deeply emotional part of having feelings in a way that, is different from Handel. Handel looks at emotions in a kaleidoscope and looks at all of them from many different angles. And I think Mozart really like logically plots you through what needs to happen in like the even harder cabaletta or whatever it is. Like you really have to work for it and say these hard things, and it's hard to sing because it's hard to say. So I really I'm really looking forward to singing Per Pietà because I love moments like that where I can really just like really dig in and be vulnerable, even when the music's hard.
If I'm going to ask you to answer this question, safe for work version, what is happening in the trio Soave sia il vento?
Oh, I don't have a safe for work version. I don't. You know what I'm going to say. I posted this on Instagram.
Should I just point people to your Instagram for the response?
Yes, because I'm right. And if anyone uses that concept and doesn't credit me, I'm coming for them. I'm coming in hot because that is the only thing that's happening in that trio, because it's all about like repression, and this is like Così straight up. And I like this about the production. We put it in a period, but it's like, it doesn't make sense. It's not about the plot. It's about the relationships and the themes and the symbols. Okay. Like, don't worry about the weird rest. Like, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Just like let Don Alfonso take advantage of everyone. Let Despina think she knows what's up, and let the 2 girls and the 2 boys just be adult babies in diapers. Like that is literally what human life is. Let it not make sense, right? And the trio, just like it's not just waving goodbye to your lovers. It's just, it has so many, it's sexual repression in every way, in my opinion. But yeah, look at my Instagram. I lay it all out.
I want to keep talking about Così because it's my favorite opera of all time, but
my favorite Da Ponte by far.
I have a couple more questions for you. You are making your Santa Fe debut, correct?
No, I made my debut in 2017 as an oft-cut role in Alcina named called Oberto.
Oh, okay. But you're back in a principal role.
This feels like a real I mean, Oberto had 3 arias, you know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
I know what you mean. Like it was like it's a role that's often cut. But yeah, I feel like this is the hardest role I've ever taken on. And I think it is such a
We're talking about now the governess in
we're
Turn of
talking
the
about
Screw.
governess. Yeah, we're not talking about countess. We're not talking about Oberto. We're not talking about any of this stuff. We're talking about governess. Yeah, it is like if Violetta were in a worse language to sing in and there was an hour less in the opera, that's what governess is. It's very much that.
But are you happy to sing in English?
I'm not happy to sing in received pronunciation, if I'm honest. But I'm not, yeah, it's not like, where there are words like I dursn't, and so like I can't really do that in a mid-Atlantic accent. But yeah, I don't love the RP because I'm very unaccustomed to singing it, so I feel pretty self-conscious, even though I lived in London for 2 years. But I do like singing in English. Yeah, I do. It's very immediate. What I find hard about this score is that as someone who really, I would say I'm a convincing actor. I think my technique could use some work because I get a little bit too emotionally involved at times. But I think as someone who really wants to be in charge of the beats, the dramatic beats, Britain really keeps you on a tight leash. And even today, I said to our director Louisa Muller and our conductor Gemma New, I was like, I submit to Britain. I have to just do it in the time that he gives me or has given it put in the score, because the piece does not function unless you are precise within his structure. It just does not.
It's not bel canto. It's not even Verdi, you know?
It's not. And I think some things, like with Mozart, it is hard to sing because it's hard to say. It's hard to do. Like, you just have to embrace that, like, this thing is hard. This thing is hard, and I got to do it in this time, and I have no option but to do it like this. That's hard. It's really hard, but I'm really enjoying it. But man, it's a big emotional journey. Big emotional journey.
Well, I mean, I feel like you are a specialist in 18th and 17th century repertoire now. But you also, well, I know, hilarious, but you also have your Mozart bona fides, as we've talked about, and you have done a lot of contemporary music. How do you, I mean, you sort of already said it, but like, how do you fit this into all of those pieces?
Yeah, I think just off the top at the jump, I just want to double click on you saying I'm a 17th and 18th century music specialist, because I want more of that. Everyone hear it. I'm available for more Baroque.
You're amazing in it.
It's my absolute favorite thing to sing. I'm not as like Lauren Snoofer and Louise Alder are like people that are such amazing Handelians.
Yeah.
I am not so graceful. I'm not so fleet of foot vocally. But I do think I offer like a really interesting, like I'm proud of what I do in that repertoire. It's not like, you know, it's maybe not like Lynn Dawson level elegant, but I like what I do and I believe in it. And I think it resonates with some audience members and some people. So I'm very pleased people let me do it, but I always want to do more. You know, there are people like Dawn Upshaw and Lorraine Hunt Lieberson who really paved the way, I think, for the whole like bookend repertoire Fach thing. I think it really like both inform the other. And I think the treatment of dissonance, the strict use of form, or when we're breaking the form, it's for a dramatic reason. I think all of that is so, it's like part of the flesh and blood of Baroque and contemporary music. And one definitely informs the other for me, for sure. So I really love doing both, and I wouldn't have it any other way. The downside is that I'm constantly switching between the two genres, which I feel like I have to sort of like take my voice out and like reset it and then like get it back in there. But Mozart helps. Like if I have a little Mozart in between, that kind of, because with contemporary music, it's all about like throwing that voice around. You just got to know how to throw it around. And to an extent with Baroque, but yeah, there's no messing around in Mozart, so it brings me back to center.
If you can't sing a clean scale of Mozart, then don't start.
Don't do it.
Well, we're almost out of time, but I wanted to give everybody knows how much I love Santa Fe, and they've treated me so well over there. I just love to hear from the artist's perspective, what your experience has been like, and if you could just big up Gemma New, because I want everybody to know that Gemma New is real special. I know that's 2 questions in one, but you can answer it how you wish.
Yeah. I feel so lucky to be on this project, and I really love that Santa Fe makes it a priority to program things that just don't get their day in the sun. Like everyone should be doing Turn of the Screw. It is like 2 hours and 15 minutes with an interval. It's in English. It's a ghost story. There are kids on stage. A woman goes crazy. Like it is a great piece of music and I don't know why the show doesn't get done more often in a big theater, because a chamber ensemble really can make a healthy noise. So I really like that the Santa Fe Opera prioritizes that, because it gives people like me a chance to really get my teeth into something, and everyone in the show gets really, really nice moments to do something really significant in the show that means something to the development of the plot. So it's such a great programming initiative here at the opera that I wish more houses would do. And Gemma New is, I can't say enough good things about her.
She's Mother.
She is Mother. Yes, she is. I told you before this story. I guess I'm just going to say it. I like Gemma New so much as a person, and I respect her so much that I will accidentally call her mom. And she'll be cool about it. She won't make me feel bad about it. But Gemma, what I really love about Gemma is that she is able to, I have a really specific working style, and she's been able to foster that and have patience with it, because for me, I have like a really slow learning curve, and then I come in one day and it's all there. And I just need time to like percolate and get the ideas together and fuse this with this. And not many professionals, I don't know of other singers that really work that way. But Gemma really has really treated me with a lot of trust, is always so assuring, but still holds everyone to a very high musical standard. I have never met a conductor that cues like she does. She is somehow switching between 4 different parts in a very hard quartet in Act 2, singing and cueing with her elbows. Like if she could cue with her feet, I'm sure she would. But she really is such a singer-forward conductor who I'm sure the orchestra here absolutely adores her. She knows the score inside and out. She's just an amazing human being. She's an amazing musician. She's an amazing leader. I would follow her anywhere. I can't say, she's just amazing. I really like working with her.
The Turn of the Screw, starring Jacquelyn Stucker as the Governess, hometown hero Brenton Ryan as Peter Quint, Jennifer Johnson Cano as Mrs. Gross, and Wendy Bryn Harmer as Miss Jessel, directed by Louisa Muller and conducted by friend of the show and mother, Gemma New, opens July 19th and runs through August 5th. Thanks to the crack PR team at Santa Fe for coordinating the interview, and everybody listening, please follow Jacquelyn Stucker on Instagram. You will not regret having her content in your feed.
Ashley, you have a certain look in your eye that says there's not much sports happening now, is there?
This is that time. You know how film buffs get really depressed after the Oscars because there's only a little bit of film out and it's all not very good? We're kind of in that spot both the opera world, there's not a whole lot of news, but in the sports world, because right now the only sport that's active is the snooze fest that is baseball. Look, I will enjoy a baseball game, but in terms of like exciting action, it ain't no football.
It's more
it ain't
of an
no
immersive
hockey.
experience.
It ain't no rugby. But in the meantime, I am grateful that the friendly confines are there and my absolute angels that are down on the south side. By the way, unrelated, but also need to tell you about this. Did I tell y'all I went to the Pope Mass at Sox Park? I forgot how hilarious that is. Honestly, I should have gone to a Sox game already this summer, but I didn't. The Pope Mass was the first one. So my Southsiders, I'm sorry. I promise I will go to a Sox game soon.
What? It got me, before you do that, Weston, it got me thinking, and this is everybody think on your feet for a quick hit. If we could relate major sports, like the big ball sports, to genres of opera, what genre of opera is baseball?
Baseball's got to be opera seria, right? It's long and boring.
Oh, wow. I was going to use the exact same rationale to say it's definitely Wagner.
The duality of man.
I think of like gymnastics or, figure skating as bel canto opera.
Right, because everyone is getting graded at how well they stick the landing and or nail the twiddles.
Yeah.
I think of Fidelio, Beethoven's only opera, just because Beethoven likes to repeat himself a whole lot, and it could be way shorter than it is, and baseball could be way shorter than it is.
Okay. Well, we'll keep pondering that question, and we can ask you, the dear listener, to give us some analogies.
Yeah, let us know what kinds of sports are what kinds of opera, and make sure that you hurt at least my feelings or Oliver's feelings, because will be kind of an inverse relationship there.
Honestly, gymnastics could also be a Verdi opera because they're about bad dads. But maybe I'm just thinking about Nastya Liukin.
Yeah, you got something to say? Then yeah, all right, you can say something. This is Listener Mailbag.
We have a very special listener mailbag today. It is from Gary, who is a bona fide celebrity. You may recognize Gary from his appearances in the Live in HD audience shots, B-roll, wearing the swan costume for the Live in HD productions. Gary has a very important question for us that I can't believe we haven't nailed down by now. For those of you who are keeping score, this is episode 476 of Opera Box Score, which is frankly an insanely high number. And we don't have anything to call you, our listeners. Gary says, are you still looking for suggestions for a name for OBS fans? He has a suggestion, the OBS obsequy, because we follow you on account of our interest in opera / for the sake of receiving your opera wisdom and so forth. This is a Latin pun that frankly I don't understand, but I do love where it's going.
I think it's obsequy.
Obsequy, because all I know is the word obsequious, which if you Google that, Google tells you that obsequious means obedient or attentive to an excessive or servile degree. So maybe now's a good time to let you know that you can donate to us at operaboxscore.com using the support the team tab.
I was going to say, that doesn't really sound a whole lot like opera fans. I wouldn't, and they're defending their tastes. Servile would not be the word that comes to mind.
I do like obsequy, but I do want to put it kind of to a vote and see if anyone has any alternative suggestions. What do you guys think of Gary's suggestion?
I'm not mad at it, but I feel like there needs to be some obvious sports analogy there. Like, I'm wondering if there's a really cool.
Well, I mean, it's a dead language, kind of like baseball, as we established in the previous.
If there's one of those, professional cheerleading squads,
it's Greco-Roman wrestling.
There it is. I love it.
Is there a name of a really famous cheer squad that we could steal their name?
I mean, besides the Toros from Bring It On. I said, Burr, it's cold in here. There must be the Toros in the atmosphere.
I mean, you know me, Ashley. If there isn't a pun involved, I can't get behind it, which is why I do love obsequy.
I do as well. I mean, props to Gary for coming up with this. And I also agree with the obedient and attentive, excessive, servile degree that we do with some drills.
Props to Sister Mary Margaret for teaching him all of his Latin declensions way back in the day, I'm assuming.
Are we missing some low-hanging fruit, like friends of the show or friends of friends of the show?
Friends of friends of the show.
I mean, I was going to say suckers because we've suckered people into listening to this for a billion seasons.
The Logionisti.
I don't want to make a listener mailbag cause more listener mailbags, but we would love to hear from you because Gary has given us a really great suggestion. And if we don't get any alternatives in the next couple of weeks, I'm sorry. You all listening right now are the obsequy. If you disagree, let us know by going to operaboxscore.com and going to the You Got Something to Say tab, or you can just email us mailbag@operaboxscore.com to tell Gary what a buffoon he is if you disagree. But I think you're great, Gary.
We love
You're
Gary.
Not a buffoon at all, and I love your swan costume. It's literally everything to me. Let's go to the 2-minute drill.
This just in. The 2-minute drill.
All right, listen up. Here's everything you need to know about what happened in Operaland this week.
In the Girls Be Messy news, Peter Gelb alleged in an interview with the Ukrainian press that Anna Netrebko had contact with the Kremlin in 2022 before getting fired by the Met. That's it. That's the story. Ashley has no notes. Oliver, back to you.
Jamie Barton has taken to social media to complain about being misquoted in an interview she gave to The Times UK. Opera singers are being forced to take Ozempic, read the headline, which was then corrected in the digital version to what Barton really said: there is real pressure for opera singers to take Ozempic. It's not the way I speak, and it's not the message I want out in the world, especially not during Pride, said the famously queer and body-positive powerhouse mezzo-soprano.
La Scala is updating its dress code with a new policy that will turn away audience members in shorts, vests, or flip-flops without a refund. Former La Scala General Director Dominique Meyer had eliminated a dress code at the company, saying that he'd rather have underdressed patrons than no patrons at all. But current management disagrees. Said one spokesman for the Opera House, "We don't want to tell people what to wear, but we do want them to at least wear something."
Manhattan School of Music is launching a fully online BFA in the performing arts, the first of its kind in the United States. MSM had already been a pioneer in online learning, debuting its distance learning program all the way back in 1996, before COVID made it cool. This is a rigorous conservatory-level curriculum taught by a top-flight cohort of faculty, said Joyce Griggs, EVP at MSM. The program will provide career-relevant training for performing artists to both expand their artistry and equip them with the skills, credentials, and industry connections needed.
San Francisco's opera orchestra has signed a new 2-year collective bargaining agreement with the management. The musicians had been working without a contract since August of last year, with temporary agreements in place to avert a strike. The agreement includes wage increases as well as improvements to retirement and health benefits.
Warner Music Group has announced a massive restructuring initiative cutting costs by $300 million by the end of 2027. The announcement comes on the heels of the corporation cutting 10% of its workforce last year and a new $1.2 billion joint venture to buy up music copyrights. Warner owns a number of labels known for classical music, including Erato, Teldec, Nonesuch, Virgin, and EMI.
In trade news, Birmingham Opera Company has tapped Seb Lovell-Huckle to become the company's new general manager. Lovell-Huckle previously led a number of UK orchestras. In Germany, the contracts for the co-intendants of the Komische Oper Berlin, Susanne Moser and Philipp Bröking, have been extended until the year 2032. It'll be here before we know it. Meanwhile, the Wexford Festival in Ireland has hired Suzanne Nance as executive director. Nance had just recently left her position as president and CEO of All Classical Radio after 10 years with the station. On this side of the pond, Virginia Opera has promoted interim director John Paul Schaefer to general director and CEO.
On the disabled list, soprano Song Xian has pulled out of Shanghai Opera House's production of Tristan und Isolde due to illness. She would have been the first Chinese soprano to perform the role of Isolde on Chinese soil. Instead, she'll be replaced by Nina Warren.
Exit stage right, Welsh tenor Stuart Burrows has died at the age of 92. Burrows turned down a career in rugby before becoming a professional singer, focusing primarily on the works of Mozart, Donizetti, and French composers. In addition to onstage works, Burrow also had his own TV show, Stuart Burrows Sings, which ran for 8 years.
Mexican soprano Gilda Cruz Romo has died at 85. She made her New York City opera debut in 1969 and soon became a fixture at the Met in the 70s and 80s. Cruz Romo performed primarily Italian operas, especially those by Verdi and Puccini, around the US and Europe.
British conductor and countertenor Charles Brett has died at 83. Brett was a key figure in the early Baroque revival in the 60s and 70s, performing such roles as Athamas in Handel's Semele. He founded the Amaryllis Consort in 1983 before becoming a professor at the Royal Academy of Music, where he taught from 1988 to 2003.
Czech soprano Helena Tatarmoshova has died at 92. She became a member of Prague National Theatre in 1956, remaining there until 1988. Tatarmoshova was known internationally for championing Czech opera, especially those by Janacek, Dvorak, and Smetana.
And on this day, July 8th, first performances include Konradin Kreutzer's Der Besuch auf dem Lande in Vienna in 1826, the 1874 version of Mussorgsky's Boris Godunov in 1874. Judith Weir's opera A Night at the Chinese Opera in Cheltenham, England, first performed in 1987 on this day. And in 1988, it was the first performance of Philip Glass's opera The Making of the Representative for Planet 8 at Houston Grand Opera. Birthdays on July 8th include Italian opera composer Luigi Ricci, born in Naples in 1805. Bartoslav Lisinski, composer of one of the first Croatian operas, born this day in 1819. Italian tenor and Wagner specialist Edoardo Ferrari Fontana, born in Rome in 1878. American composer George Antheil in Trenton, New Jersey. Did I get that right?
You got
in
it.
1900.
Nice and definitive. I really love the confidence you brought to that read.
Happy birthday to Chinese-American composer Zhu Long, born this day in Beijing in 1953. And we celebrate the birthday of the late Susan Chilcott, born in Bristol in 1963 on July 8th.
And that's your 2-minute drill.
Stuart Burroughs from the Schulte set of Die Zauberflöte singing Tamino like an absolute god there. He sounds so good on that recording.
That's my first Magic Flute recording.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Pilar Lorengar and Christina de Wittkamp. I mean, it's...
Yagging.
Yeah. I can't believe he had his own TV show, and I want to go see if somebody has uploaded some of those to YouTube.
I know. I want to go watch that now.
It was an old BBC Two show, which I feel like means that, you know, they probably kept it somewhere, but it's probably on like a VHS tape next to like, you know, some like, you know, Doctor Who episode from 1965 or whatever.
We got to put a pin in that BBC. That's one of my bad calls.
Oh my goodness. A little spoiler warning for all you listening. Speaking of spoilers, Peter Gelb and Anna Netrebko are never going to reconcile.
Ooh, she's so messy. She who, which one, both. Man, I don't know why he said this, but the strategery around that byline of saying this to the Ukrainian, listeners, you can't tell. I'm licking my fingers. It's so delicious. That's it. That's the whole story.
I am not a lawyer, but I really don't know that you can say, like, I don't believe that this is true, and therefore I don't have to acknowledge it as a real statement. But I don't know that holds up in court, but let's just, for the sake of argument, say that it does.
Okay, but we haven't really said the story. So who doesn't believe what's true?
I mean, like, he just kind of said that he believes that she contacted the Kremlin.
Okay. And therefore he couldn't believe her denunciations of Putin and the war.
It was a big sort of a citation needed kind of moment, at least legally speaking. Not saying I don't necessarily believe it, but like certainly it is a bold thing to say when there is literally, you know, I believe still an ongoing lawsuit between the Met and Anna Netrebko.
Yes, there is. The real question that I have now is, was she silent or was she silenced?
I think the story here is someone from the Mets legal team needs to keep an eye on Pete, just in case. I want to talk a little bit about online arts programs. This is actually kind of interesting to me. The Manhattan School of Music. Now, okay, so this BFA is not a traditional, like, you know, sit in, you know, your virtual class and be taught over, you know, Zoom or whatever. This is a program that is meant to be supplemented by and to supplement artists who are already performing at a professional level. So this would be like, say if you're like a ballet dancer who, ballet dancers, they need to be working the second they're able to be working, because once your body gives out, you can't really do that anymore. I mean, same for singers to a certain extent.
Less so, because there's like kind of less on the job training. As singers, like, you're expected to be able to show up at the opera house already knowing, like, they're not going to teach you technique there.
Sure.
And the voice just needs a little bit more time to cook than dancers' bodies do. Like, Misty Copeland is one of the people who is quoted in this article, and like, for a ballet dancer, absolutely makes sense why you wouldn't want to wait through a college degree and like miss out on some of your prime dancing years.
Yeah.
And so this is a good way to get the degree that you need to get your foot into certain doors.
Right. And it's also, to bring in our sports analogies here, it's like those younger phenoms who forego college or forego graduating college to enter the draft. Yeah, the LeBron James, the Kobe Bryant of it all. But also even the folks who, like, maybe they get 1 year of collegiate play under their belt and they're so good that franchises are looking at them. And this is true for the NFL, the NBA, the NHL, the MLB, insert other acronyms here. But those are guys that their bodies are going to eventually give out. And then where are they going to go? Not everybody can coach. Not everybody can be a sports analyst on whatever cable network is currently in syndication. So, if you could pick up an actual 4-year degree or certificate, that would be something that, again, gets your foot in the door in different places.
Nathan Gunn pressing on my diaphragm can't happen online.
You know what? That's very true, Oliver. Can it happen offline, or is that something that's happening now? I mean, honestly, F it. I want a degree from Manhattan School of Music. I'm working at a professional level. Can I do this degree? Because that would be fun, although expensive.
Speaking of expensive, we have the Warner Music Group cutting $300 million out of its budget and announcing that on the same day that they announce $1.2 billion for buying up music copyrights, which, man, that can't feel good to get that email from your boss in the same exact email.
It's probably not an email. I'm sure it was a Teams call where then they were terminated immediately.
I don't understand. I understand the big picture, but what does this effectively mean? Like, are Arado, Taldeck, Nonsuch, Virgin, and EMI, classical wing of Warner, are they losing their agency? Are they?
If I had to guess, I bet there are going to be fewer and fewer people doing those jobs across more than one label, instead of having Taldeck having their own marketing guy. And
Warner has been doing the sort of, classic 2025 corporation thing of quote unquote eliminating redundancies, which basically means,
ChatGPT.
Yeah, ChatGPT.
I mean, they're fully doging it. They're doging it right now.
They truly are. And I think that, I don't know if any classical labels are necessarily in any danger from this. I would suspect they're probably lower priority.
Not from the copyrights, no.
Well, yeah, exactly. I think the main sort of, concern here is that, the main reason I included this in the article is just to remind everyone that these corporations who don't have really much of a financial incentive to care about classical music are still in charge of like all of the major classical music labels, just looking at the list. And this isn't even an exhaustive list. There's other labels they own that also have classical music on them. There's also other labels that they have partial shares in. It's a whole thing. And, when we are talking about a for-profit company, when our entire industry is made up almost exclusively of nonprofit institutions, at least in the United States, that is something to be aware of, keep an eye on. Like I was surprised that they owned Nonsuch. I didn't even know that before this story came out. And it just, Apple Music is out there. They're buying BIS. They're trying to get bigger and bigger, and the other big boys are, closing down, and, we're just kind of the chess pieces as an industry as far as recording is concerned. So that's not super fun.
We've come a long way since Angel Records, but have we?
Have we indeed? What I thought we'd come a long way from? Dress codes in the opera, but I was wrong.
Well, definitely in the fashion capital of Italy, you're wrong.
That is true. I mean, it is Milan. I will say the one thing we didn't really mention when we were reading the story is that a lot of Italians are associating people coming and dressing poorly at the opera with tourists coming to La Scala specifically. And I think there's a little bit of anti-American sentiment specifically because apparently on the
about
tickets,
the bag of burgers.
they have the line through the sandals and stuff. They also have a line through the burger, and like that feels like a hate crime. It's very funny though.
I mean, we are hated internationally and have been for some time, but definitely now.
And I do like burgers. I'm afraid to admit it.
I do love a burger. I had one yesterday. Yeah, I mean, I get it. I mean, there are places in the world where this would feel far more egregious. Like if this happened in the States, if this happened in, other areas of Europe that weren't Italy,
and not just Italy, like the most Italy of Italy.
Opera church. Yeah. So, I mean, I kind of want to roll my eyes at it because I'm definitely on the Operas for Everyone train and we shouldn't scare anybody away that wants to come. But I do understand in a place where this is religious and reverent that they would be frustrated with the notion of tourists. And they're not hurting for opera bucks as much as everybody else is.
Like, honestly, I think if the whole city of Milan could institute this citywide, they would. I mean, it's the fashion capital. True. It's also the richest part of Italy because it's the financial capital. And like to your point about tourism, it has been on an upswing recently since the Expo Cup was held there pretty recently. Yeah. And so I think they're just like not really used to being a destination and like some of the downsides that come with that.
And it's also on the upswing throughout Europe too. I mean, there's the what is it, Madrid,
Spain,
Seville,
throwing things at like tourists,
water gunning tourists and stuff. Mm-hmm. You see like Venice, holding protest against too many tourists coming in.
Where they really should be holding protest against the Bezos wedding, but I digress.
They did that too. It was great.
But yeah, I'm right there with you, Ashley. And ordinarily I'd be on the, as someone who has attended the opera in flip-flops, I'm very much like, wear your flip-flops, it's fine. But also there's something about La Scala specifically where it's like part of the reason to go to La Scala in my mind is the
you want to see someone get booed.
Exactly. I want that level of cattiness at La Scala specifically. So I'm not going to lose too much sleep over it, even though I think it is a little bit silly. Speaking of a little bit silly, man, I'm bad at the transitions today. Jamie Barton getting that quote in the Times UK saying that opera singers are being forced to take Ozempic. She posted a really great video on Instagram a couple weeks ago addressing it. And, we love Jamie here, but I suggest you go to her Instagram page and scroll down because, she's such a hashtag icon that,
Yeah, she's so thoughtful. And like she said some really important things in that interview, but you wouldn't guess from the headline. She also said in this interview for the Times article that she would sing at the Kennedy Center if asked because she says, I'm going to quote her so I don't misquote her, I would hands down gladly go there because that's my place. That's ours. I would show up as exactly who I am and do my job to the best of my ability. In and of itself, that would be an act of rebellion. So we love Jamie Barton. I have some relationship with her publicist, and I, for whatever reason, have never been granted an interview with Jamie Barton. But Jamie, if you want to come here,
we will not misquote you and clickbait you.
We will never misquote you. I mean, but also, yes, there is a real pressure for singers. Guess what? Film at 11, there's always been pressure, especially on female singers, to look a certain way, especially when you're playing things like ingenues and romantic leads.
And it ain't just singers, neither.
No, it ain't just singers, neither. But like now we have pharmaceuticals that make it quote unquote easier. It is a real problem. I am frustrated that this Times UK headline decided to take it in this way. I get why they did it. It's still gross, similar to La Scala. I get it, but it's gross. But yes, Jamie, thank you for speaking out on this. Thank you for being clear with your words, even when the people that were supposed to be clear with your words were not.
Let's wrap this show up.
Good call. Bad call. on Opera Box Score.
Good call, bad call. That's how we end the show. Let's start with Oliver Camacho.
So my bad call is that I opened up my BBC Sounds app earlier this week, and I got a little notification saying by July, 20th or something like that, this will no longer be available to listeners outside of the UK.
Time to get a VPN, Oliver.
Which really sucks. I could not believe the resource that is the BBC app. I think there are 7 channels that you can browse through, and all of their content, and things stay up on the archive way longer than they do in the US. You can listen to concerts, and they're really thoughtful programming and record reviews and operas. A real bummer. If you want to listen to that content, now you have to go to their website and listen to it when it happens, and I don't got time for that. My good call is that OBS, meaning me, has been invited to Des Moines Metro Opera. Remember my resolution from the beginning of the year to add another opera to my diet? So I will be attending, I'll be seeing 2 shows in their current season. Rake's Progress, which stars friend of the show Joel Harvey as Anne Trulove, with Jonas Hacker and Vivica Jeannot as Baba the Turk. And the Cunning Little Vixen, which is another one of my resolutions for this year, to see a Janacek opera and get into it, starring friend of the show O'Hara Heising Park. So
Great
thank
casting.
you, Des Moines, for the invitation.
Matt Cummings.
I too have a combination good call, bad call, but it is in fact the same call. And the bad call, the bad call portion of it is that the Computer Talk CEO Mandel Chung offered the Toronto Symphony $400,000 to lead it in Mahler's Resurrection Symphony, and I just think it's a bad call for rich people to be able to do whatever they want.
He conducted it himself? That's so
He did.
funny.
But also let him. Give us that money.
Good call, though. I support anything in this world that gets us closer to the plot of Tar happening in real life. So what I actually want is for Cate Blanchett to be there waiting in the wings to come on stage and punch him.
If you're listening, you can pay us $400,000 and we'll replace Oliver Camacho with you.
And we'll let Cate Blanchett punch you.
Ashley Hardgrave.
My good call is that there is an NFL player who started a football camp for LGBTQ kids. Isn't that wonderful? He is Kalen Saunders. He is a member of the New Orleans Saints, and he has done a couple of different things through his foundation, which is called Original Element Foundation. But this is the first football camp that he's put together that was directly advertised towards the LGBT community and welcoming them in. And part of the reason he's doing this is not to sort of, say yes or no or influence anybody's, sexuality, but he has a brother who is Cameron Saunders, who is a fabulous outman, who also serves as a backup dancer for Taylor Swift on her most recent tour. And so he basically is like, look, this is teaching children, both, LGBTQ kids, and not to be accepting of those who are. So doing this through sports, an environment where these folks haven't traditionally been as welcomed as I think most folks believe they should have been. I just think it's really lovely. So thank you, Kalen Saunders, for being wonderful.
That is it for this week's edition of America's Talk Radio show about opera. Make sure you subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. Get your voice heard and find links to stuff we've talked about at our website, operaboxscore.com. That's also where you can put your money where our mouths are. Give back to the OBS using the Support the Team tab. Your announcer is Norm Waddell. Your creative consultant is Oliver Camacho, and your audio editor is me. The executive producer of the OBS is George Cedarquist. For co-hosts Matt Cummings and Ashley Hardgrave with guest Jacquelyn Stucker, I'm Weston Williams, asking you to continue the conversation about opera as you wave around the receipts you have on your adversaries. We're back with an all-new show next week when we go Inside the Huddle with Joshua Winograde, director of opera at Rice University's Shepherd School of Music. Plus, you get more opera headlines, more hot takes, and more underdressed patrons. Join us.